328 career home runs, over 1,000 RBIs, 3 All-Star appearances, 1 MVP award, and 1 admission that changed everything. Mo Vaughn, for the first time, acknowledged his use of human growth hormone since being named in the Mitchell Report in 2007. The power hitter who once commanded an $80 million contract saw his career numbers permanently asterisked by a decision made during baseball's most controversial era. But should Vaughn's entire legacy be defined by this single admission? Or does his story reveal something more complex about the game we love and the heroes of his era? What if I told you that before the controversy, there was a first baseman so dominant that Boston fans called him the hit dog? Let's go back to where it all began. In the working-class city of Norwalk, Connecticut, a young Maurice Samuel Vaughn was developing the powerful swing that would one day terrorize American League pitchers. Standing at an imposing 6 foot 1 inches and over 225 pounds even in his youth, Vaughn possessed natural strength that translated perfectly to baseball. At Trinity Pauling School, a private boarding school in New York, he began to refine his raw talent, becoming a standout athlete who caught the attention of college scouts. Vaughn's collegiate career at Seton Hall University proved to be the perfect launching pad for his baseball ambitions. From 1986 to 1989, he dominated college pitching while playing alongside future Hall of Famer Craig Biggio. During his time with the Pirates, Vaughn developed a disciplined batting eye and a powerful left-handed stroke that would become his trademark. His impressive collegiate numbers garnered attention from Major League scouts, culminating in the Boston Red Sox selecting him as the 23rd overall pick in the 1989 MLB draft. Despite his pedigree, Vaughn's transition to the majors wasn't seamless. After brief appearances in 1991, his first full season in 1992 revealed growing pains as he posted a disappointing .234 batting average. Red Sox fans, notoriously impatient and demanding, began wondering if the highly touted prospect might be a bust. What they couldn't see was the work Vaughn was putting in behind the scenes, refining his approach at the plate and adjusting to major league pitching. The 1993 season marked the emergence of the player Boston had been hoping for. Vaughn erupted with 29 home runs and 101 RBIs, establishing himself as the dangerous middle-of-the-order presence the Red Sox desperately needed. His opposite field power at Fenway Park proved particularly valuable, allowing him to take advantage of the green monster in left field. By season's end, Boston fans had bestowed upon him the nickname the Hit Dog, a moniker that perfectly captured his aggressive approach at the plate and imposing physical presence. The 1995 campaign saw Vaughn reach new heights during the strike-shortened 144-game season. His numbers were exceptional: a .300 batting average, 39 home runs, and a league-leading 126 RBIs. This remarkable performance earned him the American League MVP award, making him the first Red Sox player to claim the honor since Jim Rice in 1978. More importantly, he led Boston to their first division title since 1990, cementing his status as the franchise cornerstone. What followed was a 3-year stretch of offensive brilliance rarely seen in Red Sox history. From 1996 through 1998, Vaughn maintained a batting average above .315 each season while averaging 40 home runs and 118 RBIs annually. Beyond the statistics, Vaughn became beloved in Boston for his community involvement and charitable work, particularly with inner-city youth through his Mo Vaughn Youth Development Program. Despite his popularity with fans, tension simmered between Vaughn and the Red Sox front office. Team management, particularly general manager Don Duquette, often seemed at odds with their slugging first baseman over contract negotiations and perceived criticism of the organization. Nevertheless, Vaughn continued to produce on the field, culminating in a spectacular 1998 campaign where he batted .337 with 40 home runs and 115 RBIs. As he entered free agency following that season, Vaughn's market value had never been higher. The Anaheim Angels, desperate for a power bat and marquee name, offered what was then the highest contract in baseball history, a 6-year, $80 million deal that Vaughn couldn't refuse. After 9 seasons in Boston, the Hit Dog was headed west, leaving behind a legacy as one of the most productive and beloved sluggers in Red Sox history. As Vaughn headed west with his record-breaking contract, the baseball world expected the Slugger's dominance to continue in California. Instead, a single awkward step down the visitors' dugout stairs on opening day 1999 would become the perfect metaphor for his Angels tenure, an expensive, painful descent that no one saw coming. April 6, 1999, a date that Angels fans and front office executives had circled on their calendars for months. Their $80 million man was about to make his grand entrance. The excitement lasted precisely until the first defensive play of the game, when Vaughn, chasing a foul pop-up, tumbled down the dugout steps and severely sprained his ankle. The sound of that fall seemed to echo throughout his entire Angels career, a career that started with a stumble and never fully regained its footing. Despite this inauspicious beginning, Vaughn demonstrated why the Angels had invested so heavily in him. Playing through pain that first season, he managed to produce impressive numbers, surpassing 30 home runs and driving in over 100 runs. He repeated this performance in 2000, proving that even a diminished version of the hit dog could still bite. But these statistics masked a deeper issue. His body was breaking down. The physical toll of professional baseball had begun transforming Vaughn's powerful frame into a liability. By the time he reached the New York Mets, his weight had ballooned to 268 pounds, a significant increase that stressed his joints and limited his mobility. What had once been imposing strength was now excess weight that his frame struggled to support, particularly as he approached his mid-30s. Perhaps more damaging than his physical decline was the shadow cast over his clubhouse presence. When Vaughn departed Anaheim, Angels closer Tony Percival delivered a cutting assessment. "We may miss Mo's bat, but we won't miss his leadership." This single quote opened a window into internal tensions that had remained hidden from public view, suggesting that the Angels' massive investment had delivered mixed returns both on and off the field. After missing the entire 2001 season due to injury, the Angels traded Vaughn to the New York Mets for pitcher Kevin Appier in December of that year. It was a tacit admission that their franchise cornerstone had become a financial albatross. The trade gave Vaughn one final opportunity to recapture his former glory on a different coast. His Mets tenure provided a few memorable highlights amid the overall decline. On April 3, 2002, Vaughn connected for his 300th career home run, joining the ranks of baseball's power-hitting elite. Later that season, on June 26th, he unleashed a mammoth 505-foot blast at Shea Stadium that showcased the raw power that had made him a star. These moments, however, were mere flashes of the consistent excellence that had defined his Boston years. By January 2004, the physical deterioration could no longer be ignored or overcome. At just 36 years old, Vaughn announced that persistent knee problems would prevent him from continuing his career. His final statistical line: 328 home runs, 1,064 RBIs, a .293 batting average, and a .906 OPS across 12 seasons, told the story of a player whose peak demonstrated Hall of Fame potential, but whose decline came too swiftly for Cooperstown consideration. Those impressive career numbers, 328 home runs, 1,064 RBIs, a .293 average, seemed to tell the complete story of Mo Vaughn's baseball journey. That is until December 13, 2007, when a bombshell report connected the former MVP to something that would permanently alter how fans and historians viewed those same statistics. On that winter day, former Senator George Mitchell released his landmark 409-page report on performance-enhancing drugs in baseball. Among the 89 players named was Mo Vaughn, 3 years into retirement and seemingly distanced from the game's darkening steroid cloud. But paper trails rarely lie, and the Mitchell report presented damning evidence. 3 checks written by Vaughn to Kirk Radomski, a former Mets clubhouse attendant turned drug supplier. The paper trail showed payments of $2,200, followed by 2 separate checks for $3,200, dated June 1st and June 19, 2001, all allegedly for human growth hormone. What makes Vaughn's case particularly interesting is the timing. The evidence points to HGH use in 2001, precisely when he was sidelined for the entire season with injury. Unlike many other players whose performance spikes raised eyebrows, Vaughn's alleged use suggested a desperate attempt to heal, not enhance. He wasn't seeking to hit more home runs, he was trying to return to the field at all. This distinction sets Vaughn apart from many others named in the Mitchell report. While players like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens faced accusations of using performance-enhancing substances during their most productive seasons, the evidence against Vaughn points to usage only after his prime years in Boston had concluded. The alleged HGH use came when his career was already in jeopardy, not during the dominant stretch that earned him MVP honors and fans' adoration. When given the opportunity to address these allegations, Vaughn chose silence. He declined Senator Mitchell's invitation to discuss the claims, neither confirming nor denying the accusations. This silence left baseball writers and fans to draw their own conclusions, which they did swiftly and severely when Hall of Fame voting arrived. In 2009, Vaughn's first year of eligibility for Cooperstown, the former Slugger received just 1.1% of the vote, immediately dropping off the ballot. Statistics that might otherwise have warranted extended consideration were dismissed with barely a second glance. The stigma of performance-enhancing drugs had effectively erased a career that once seemed destined for bronze immortality. While many players implicated in the steroid era continued to receive increasing support on subsequent Hall of Fame ballots, particularly those with overwhelming statistical cases, Vaughn never got that second chance. His legacy became defined not by his tremendous production or charitable work, but by 3 check numbers that created a permanent asterisk next to his accomplishments. Yet while baseball closed its doors to Vaughn, he found new purpose elsewhere. After hanging up his cleats, he transformed himself into something few would have predicted, a successful real estate developer with a social conscience. As managing director of Omni New York LLC, Vaughn focused his business acumen on buying and rehabilitating distressed housing properties. His company successfully rehabilitated over 1,142 units in the New York metropolitan area, with a particular emphasis on affordable housing and community improvement. In 2009, Vaughn demonstrated his commitment to giving back when he invested $6 million to improve the Sycamore Village complex in Lawrence, Massachusetts. The same determination that once made him a feared slugger now drove him to transform neglected neighborhoods into livable communities. What if I told you that despite the controversies that clouded his later years, Mo Vaughn's legacy in Boston remains surprisingly intact? The four-time Red Sox MVP selection speaks volumes about his impact both on and off the diamond. While the HGH admission undeniably complicates his baseball narrative, many baseball historians argue that context matters when evaluating players from the steroid era. The real story of Mo Vaughn transcends both statistics and scandals. In recent years, Vaughn himself has addressed his complex legacy, expressing a desire to be remembered not just for home runs or controversies, but for his charitable contributions and leadership. His case stands as a powerful reminder that baseball legacies are rarely black and white. Perhaps what makes Vaughn's story so compelling isn't just what happened on the field, but how it challenges us to think more deeply about an era when many players face similar choices under immense pressure. In the end, Vaughn's journey asks us a profound question. How do we reconcile achievement with admission, talent with temptation, and ultimately, how do we judge flawed human beings who played an imperfect game during baseball's most complicated chapter?